how many of us checked the weather before coming out today? Of course, it's August, so we had to know if we are coming out with an umbrella and everything. And what about checking your account balance before recharging your phone? Yeah, exactly. We are students, so we don't have a choice. We have to, you know. So that's data, and that's helped in making your decision. As simple as that. And beyond that, in our day-to-day lives, we rely on millions and billions of data points. I grew up in a community that were simply invisible. There wasn't much data about us. You can't tell how many businesses are there, what we do, what's the output, and everything around that. So policies missed realities, government policies, and it's simple across board. Most people don't really understand how many businesses we have, what we do, and also how things happen in communities. Generally, we are in an informal economy in this country, and banks and other businesses also avoided us. They don't understand the risk, or they just perceive risk associated with dealing with communities that are underserved, and that's why they remain underserved, disconnected, because there's no simple data like the weather you had to check this morning, or the airtime you had to look up before you make your recharge, to point to decisions for these guys. And even aid coordinators, programs couldn't just point to data sets that will help them in driving decisions around aid coordination, beneficiary identification, and all other aspects. And that has simply been shown effect in our economy in general. Most of us are really, really trying, struggling, and are trapped in somewhat of an energy poverty, and inflation keeps rising, businesses and people and families keep, struggling, and it's become so difficult to handle because it's a problem that we don't measure and we don't simply understand. So why does this matter? As I mentioned, it's what helps in delivery of services. It's what helps in aid coordination. It's what helps in measuring and also benchmarking what is currently available and how do we move people forward. And that's simply what we do at Interface today. At Interface, we find these data points on people and businesses and households and farm fields, and then connect them to different service providers, different financiers that will help them grow and enable them access essential services and products that will help them thrive. So today, if a solar company wants to come into Zaria, or a bank wants to set up operations in Kafanchan like Lapo, they want to understand how many businesses are on ground, what cooperatives do they belong to, what do they do, how much do they operate, what access do they have to any form of intervention, any form of loan, what's their credit history like, what trade unions, what taxes do they pay, do they do presumptive tax, do they have any form of formal registration that enables them to do more of CITs or PIs, pays for their employees. So all those data sets that will help a bank or a financier and other service providers get access to those communities and work with them, serve them, and provide access to their services to them is what we pinpoint and give to our partners. Who are they? How can they pay for this service? And how do we collect the money? So these are very important questions. If today you want to sell a solar unit in a community, first you need to know who are they? What are they using those products for? Is it just basic for lighting? Are they students? They just want to read their books later in the night. When they sleep, they want to on their fan. So the need is different. From a small businesswoman that wants to power her shop, power her refrigerator. Maybe she's an ice block seller, or she does a fishery storage. So that might require more energy access. So that will really pinpoint you. Okay, and the next thing is, can they pay? If they can't pay, will they be able to pay? if they get access to some form of credit, and that's where financiers will come into play and say, yes, these guys want this product, but they can't pay, but we can pay on their behalf, and then they pay us over time, you know. And the third part is, if they are going to be paying over time, how do they pay? Do they have bank accounts? Do they have means of payment? Do they have points of sales in those communities, cash points that will help them make those payments? And that will really help in driving how you engage with the community. So next. All right. So, and through this process, it sounds simple, straightforward. A lot of complexities go behind the scenes, but we've been able to power thousands and thousands of homes and businesses across Nigeria. We are currently in over 100 communities today, 33 states. We are trying to get into the last 3 states left out, powering over 50,000 homes and businesses. We've unlocked over $8 million of solar financing, from carbon offsets to actual credit financing for these people, and also saved about 70,000 metric tons of carbon emission, which is like taking 20,000 cars off the road. And what was invisible for service providers simply is now at their forefront. They can see the people, they can see how to serve them, they can see what they have done, and they can also see the impact of their works. Next. So what does the data say? The data says with more access to services, people live better lives, healthier lives for their children. So example is the solar lamp we sell in those communities. So when you measure the performance of their children before and after getting a solar lamp installed in a home, it increases significantly because you have longer extended learning hours for the children. And when you look at it health-wise, homes that are solar powered, are 8 times less likely to have children suffering from respiratory diseases like asthma and other forms of diseases. And another thing, interestingly, number 1 cause for food poisoning in children is kerosene ingestion, like taking in kerosene. Because of how we store it in our homes, we store it in 7-Up bottles, and a child will see it thinking it's 7-Up before he gulps it, and he's taken to the hospital. It's another thing entirely. So with those kinds of interventions or the kinds of products, it really, really lowers those kinds of risks. And with that, you see people progressing, and us having a more inclusive, more sustainable, and more socially mobile community. So next time you want to talk about anything, I encourage all of us to look at the data points and always be data driven, because that's what makes whatever we do measurable and also movable to the next milestone or the next KPI you have in mind. It's as simple as the weather, or as complex as measuring carbon emission cuts in communities, and other indicators, all the way up to the national HDI levels.